But when you lie to yourself in one area of your life, you lie to yourself everywhere across the board. And what do LPs want right now? The people that we're asking for money, they want honesty.
Welcome everyone to our Hero Capital Raising Show. I'm your host, Tim Mai. Today I have a good friend and a fellow real estate investor on the line with us, Mr. Ajit Karani. Ajit has been a real estate investor for 7 years now, acquiring and managing multifamily, single-family land, industrial, hospitality assets. Now he's developing 170 plus square feet, 170,000 plus square feet of industrial flex space. So
Is your me?
we'll, yeah, um, looking forward to digging about that industry. Ajit co-founded Massive Capital in 2002, and he has since expanded into the flex space development. Challenging health conditions and autoimmune disease before the age of 40 prompted him to leave his W-2, beginning a journey of self-improvement, empowerment, and radical self-love, which is another topic that we're going to be diving into today. And yeah, I've met with Ajit a couple of times, and we talk a lot about his journey to transform his business, his personal, his health, freeing him from all the medicine and chronic disease after 20 years. Amazing journey he's been through. And currently, him and his life partner have co-founded a mastermind group called Live Your Legacy. And it's all about empowering entrepreneurs to review their authentic self and redefine success beyond financial freedom to align with your soul's journey. So with that, let's give Ajit a big welcome, y'all. Woohoo! Yay!
Thank you so much, Tim, for the warm introduction. And the two times that we did meet in person were soul revealing. I think that's the best way to describe it. And that instantaneous connection was formed. So thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, definitely. Super blessed and honored to have you on. And yeah, we'll guys expect that this call will be a little bit different than our normal call. We're gonna talk a lot about both the business side, but also a lot about the personal side. Because I think when a lot of times when we meet up, we just talk about business. But whenever we do have an opportunity to talk about personal, how much we can relate to each other and the challenges that we all go through. Yeah, so Ajit, share with us a bit about your real estate journey, and then especially how you are now in the industrial flex space. Yeah, so we'll start with that.
Yeah, Tim, thank you for that because that's the best way to really introduce this conversation. It probably won't be like others, just 100% focused on business because that's where I am, and that's been my own personal story has been the biggest catalyst for change in my life. So you summarized my real estate journey pretty well over the last 7 or 8 years, from leaving my W-2, chronic illness, and just doing anything and everything within real estate, from the single family world to multifamily to then I would say in 2022 was a big epiphany for me, and two amazing things happened. Number one, Massive Capital was formed, and it was the four of us, myself, Shariah, Mike, and Sanjay, just clicked, and we began our journey together. And simultaneously, as that was happening, I had some major life changes. I had hired a coach, a success coach, who was supposed to help me out with my business just 6 months prior to that, or sorry, a year and a half prior to that. And oh my God, Tim, I began to see who the hell I was. I could now look in the mirror and see who I was. And I had been living this facade of a life. And let me know if this resonates with any of you guys. The Facebook life, where the nice family photo with everybody's holding hands with you can see all of the pearly whites, was the image that I put forth on the outside. And that's how everybody knew me. But on the inside, it was anything but that. It was extremely challenging. And I was living a lie, Tim. That's probably the best way to put it. I was living a lie. And the more and more that I saw myself and put back into myself, my business shifted. What I wanted in life shifted. The way that I defined success shifted. So, success to me before that was the deal. When I got the deal, I felt good. And again, now I'm seeing who the hell I really am on the inside. And now, holy crap, success meant peace. And
Mm,
I myself was going through separation and then divorce as massive capital was being born. It was a small child back in 2022, nothing like what it is now. And it didn't make sense for me at the time. So I love the guys, but I said I had to say no because there was this paramount idea of peace that was so important to me. And that was my new definition of success, Tim. Just ultimately being peaceful on the inside and growing a startup. The timing simply wasn't there. So I took a pause. I took a big fat pause in real estate. And I started saying no to everything because nothing that was being done, nothing that I wanted to jump into aligned with that definition of success.
mm.
And I had partnered myself with Sure, and have been great friends for 2017, 2018. And there was a level of peace when him and I worked together. I like to describe our relationship as being amazing. Why? Because when we yell at each other, just like any good partnership, it brought us closer together. It really brought us closer together. And so there was a level of peace of working with him because I knew somebody had my back and I had his. And slowly but surely, with me saying no to everything, the opportunity came about, it's been about 7 months now, 8 months ago, to jump into the industrial segment. And it started off with, hey, there's an opportunity to buy 10 acres of land, and we think we can get it 20 to 30% below market. Let's grab it. Worst case scenario, we'll put it back on the market and we won't lose anything, but let's see what we can do with this. And all of a sudden, the checkbox happened, Tim. It was like, okay, I can now put my foot forward into that. Why? Because it aligns to my definition of success. And Sharire's been instrumental in my growth. There's no denying that. And so that project is in progress. The team is being formed right now, again, with that idea of peace, so that even the project team, project manager, the engineer, the architect, the whole thing aligns to that mission so that we're both good.
So
Shariah.
can you expand on that? Like, why didn't one of the other multifamily deals hit the checkbox? Why any other deals hit the checkbox? Why particularly this deal, this niche? What was it about it that, okay, yes, this type of deals has the potential to make the amount I want to make and at the same time have the piece I want to have?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's look at how it's structured, first of all. Number one, I'm intentionally buying a piece of property, a land parcel, that is underpriced by a decent chunk. So my worst case scenario here is, you know what? I can't do anything with it. Let me just put it back out there on the market, and I'm not going to lose anything. And likely I may even gain something. So from a financial perspective, I'm covered. That's number one. Then number two, who is on the project team with me makes the biggest difference, makes the absolute biggest difference. And I gave the introduction of Schreier and how we worked well together in the past. And it's easy to work with him. So perhaps that's a plug for Massive too. It really is, right? Because it's easy to work with them. So I that was a checkbox for me too, as opposed to jumping into a traditional syndication route where perhaps there's general partners that you're not used to working with, that you don't necessarily align with. And now then you're all of a sudden in this marriage for 3 to 5 years and you can't wait to get out. You can't wait for the deal to end because there's no alignment at a depth that really makes sense. So that was number two. Number three, if it takes me an extra 2 months, Tim, to assemble the project team and to do my due diligence, I'm okay. I'm okay. If it t I potentially have to pay a few extra bucks to a hard money lender to pay off financing. But again, we were able to grab the land at such a valuation that it all makes sense. That even if I have to pay an extra few bucks to a financing partner, it doesn't really affect the project in the long term. So I have number one, I'm financially sound and I can sleep at night because I'm not upside down from the beginning. Number two, I'm with somebody that aligns to my values and we've worked together in the past and it makes sense. And number three, I dictate the schedule. There's not the pressure. Oh my God, you have to raise X million dollars in the next 2 weeks. Oh my God, I don't have that much hair to lose. You can't see me from the back end, but I want to keep the hair that's on my head. And so the combination of all of those things said, holy crap, this is peaceful. Let's do it.
That's really good. I'm pretty sure deep down behind all of our hustle, all of our grind that we do every day, we all want that peace. Um, but sometimes I feel like I'm uh I might be addicted to this adrenaline of the deals, right? And the fast pace that we move at in business. And what exactly about your journey that had that shift for you going from just like running, yeah, like actively running the business, doing as many deals as you can, and have that be your measure of success versus where you are now. I understand there's a journey you went through, but I wonder also, did it have anything to do with like your midlife crisis or anything like that?
I wouldn't say midlife crisis, and what I'm about to share is highly personal, and it's really just me. If I talk to anybody here on this call for a half an hour, you're going to get all of me, whether you like it or not, because that's just how I roll. So here's the truth. I was businessing to not be at home. So the deal was a drug.
Mm,
And what I was avoiding was my relationship at home. And I can say that now, and it's the truth. It really is the truth. I was running away from myself, and I was dishonest with myself for years before I could say, what do I really what do I really want? And what do I really have? And do those things, is there a synergy between those two things? That deal, getting the next deal was a drug and pushing the hustle, the grind, it made me feel good about myself because yeah, you get a great deal, you get something at a great valuation, you pat yourself on the back, you have other people congratulating you. It feels good. There's no doubt about it. But in my case, at least, I was avoiding what was happening at home. And that was my challenge, that I wasn't honest with myself.
gotcha. That's yeah, I definitely can resonate with that for sure. You in the, I guess maybe before we get further into the deal that you're doing and how you're planning to do them and raise capital for them, all of that, share with us a bit more about the journey that you've been on, and share from the perspective, because one of the things, and I want to tie it into business as much as I can here, but one
Sure.
of the things that you mentioned when we had coffee was how you've now basically set a standard for yourself to make 5,000 an hour or something like that, and that you want
Yeah.
all other entrepreneurs, business owners to like operate from that level of valuing yourself. And so share with us about that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we share to folks in our own mastermind that they value their time at $5,000 an hour. And when we say that, people are like, whatever, you're full of crap. That doesn't make any sense because I have to get this deal and this deal has to turn into X and then I can see the money like way down the road. But to really embody themselves as the CEO of their company means that every activity that they participate in is worth $5,000 an hour. Now, I'll say this, rest is $5,000 an hour. Taking time for you is worth $5,000 an hour. My greatest time that I spend on a weekly basis is when I take my phone and I put it on Do Not Disturb so that nobody can find me. And it's completely unstructured because then what happens in my brain, I start to think beyond what is in front of me. Otherwise, I'm just doing things, right? It's so easy to jump into the hustle and just do one activity after the next activity after the next activity after the next. And then it's Friday at 7 p.m. and you're like, ah, I'm so freaking tired. What the hell did I do all week? I don't know. I did a whole bunch of stuff and I got my to-do list checked off to prove it. Here, I did all those things. So if I take that philosophy to heart, and notice how I said to heart and not to mind, that the more activities that I do for that are worth truly $5,000 an hour, that's how I can make my business what I want. That's how I can design my life the way that I want it to and not just get stuck in the same rat race. I think I think what happens is you work a W-2. Right. We a lot of us come from corporate America and we're used to that structure and that management style. And then we see this amazing thing called real estate investing, where we can now become an entrepreneur and we just do the same dang thing that we're used to, which is work like we're an employee. And no. So designing your life intentionally, asking yourself, what do I want? And valuing yourself at that ridiculous rate, it changes you. Or it makes you look at the world differently. You can now be aware that 99% of folks out there are just running and doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. And they're just caught like basically in the matrix, just running and running and not slowing down and being honest with themselves and being that CEO in their business.
It's very powerful. The way that you're operating your business now, obviously, is very different than most of us. What was it about your journey that I guess that had you decide that? I know you mentioned about like choosing peace over just doing deals, over just like redefining your definition of success. And so connect for us how the journey you went through, have you say, what's most important in my life right now is peace. And then I still want to do business. And so if I'm going to do business, this is the level in which I want to do it and how I want to do them. So bridge the gap for us and in such a way that the folks listening in can look at, reflect it for themselves in their business. What would that look like for them to operate with peace and with this high level, high valued activities?
If I can sum it all up into one question, the question that was consistently asked to me starting in 2020 was, Ajit, what do you want? It's a very simple question. Very few have the answer to it.
Mm.
But if you take the time to pause and answer that question for you, if you asked me in 2020, I would have replied to you, I want more deals, Tim. I want more money, Tim, because those were the things that filled my cup and I didn't know any differently. So the catalyst for me was flipping the mirror, or I should say, staring at the mirror, staring into the mirror and looking at what there was in front of it and being brutally honest with myself as to what was working and what wasn't working. And when I was thinking about this call and how I can truly add value, and there's so many broken deals right now.
Hmm.
Syndicators are struggling. And I'll just be honest with you, is that limited partners, the folks that we're trying to raise capital from, they are frustrated as hell. Why? Because they've been lied to, Tim. They've been lied to. And the evidence is there in the updates that they've received as a project, as a multifamily project has gone forward. And so what do they want? They want the truth. And Tim, if you would have asked me again 4 years ago, Ajit, do you tell people the truth? Oh, yeah, I do. And I really thought I did. I really thought I did. But the truth is, I was lying to myself. And when you lie to yourself in one area of your life, you lie to yourself everywhere, everywhere across the board. And what do LPs want right now? The people that we're asking for money, they want honesty, they want integrity, they want authenticity, they want the freaking truth about how a project is going. And I think the truth is it's very easy to say that. Like if you had a PowerPoint presentation and like you said, all right, here are the values that I think you should have as a general partner as you are raising capital. Yeah, number one, you must be authentic. Number two, you must be honest. Number three, you must have integrity. And then there's that T word, you must be transparent. And the majority of folks will nod. Yes, those are all great things. But the truth is, again, if you can't be honest with yourself in your whole life, other parts of your life, there's no way in heck you're going to be honest with your investors. And I'm experiencing it from as an LP, I was in 19 syndications. And I may be digressing here, but it's amazing how a deal, oh, we're 95% occupied and boom, great. Oh, but now our valuation, you're only going to receive 0.2% of your capital back. Wait, what happened here? What happened here? Where was the story? Where was the buildup? Why didn't you tell me the truth 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago? And the truth is, people want to do right. I believe in general, all of us, we want to be honest. But when it truly comes to being truly transparent, we tend to manage the situation. I don't want to say all of that because you know what? As long as we improve occupancy by 3 points over here and this happens over there, we'll be fine in 2 months. And that's it. That's it. We won't have to tell anybody. The summary of all of that is we all want to go find money, go raise money, go take all of the amazing tactics that you have, that many programs have to raise capital. But the truth is, and this is probably one of the things that's so difficult right now to raise capital because the existing GPs everywhere, a good majority of them have ruined it for a heck of a lot of people. Why? Because they
Mm.
haven't been able to be honest with themselves. So the magic, Tim, was again taking that mirror and being brutally honest with myself. And for me, I had to have somebody in my court pointing me in that direction because I didn't know anything. I didn't know any different. My conditioning, I'm Asian, I own it. How I grew up was in a certain way. And I'm brainwashed that in order for me to be loved, I have to perform. I have to perform. I have to keep on performing. So even for my own limited partners, if I don't perform for them, I don't receive back the love. So it was somebody in my court next to me consistently, week in, week out, saying, no, Ajit, look, be honest with yourself. Look at you from the inside and find the love that's really within you so that you can be honest with yourself and then watch your life unfold. And voila, no disease. I don't have the scientific method, can't prove it to you. But here I am, no meds. I'm aligning my life to peace, and I'm so freaking grateful.
That's awesome. We're gonna circle back in this nomads, your whole health journey there. But one the thing that you mentioned, like the one it sums up into one question, which is, what do you want? So interesting because this past weekend, Tony Robbins had a program called RPM, Rapid Planning Method, and he was doing an event. I attended virtually, but he was doing an event in Dallas, and that was basically the whole theme of the event. Before you plan anything, before you set any goals and take any kind of action, and yeah, and it doesn't matter if it's a big project or if it's a single task. He starts with, what do I want? And yeah, and like he even follow ups with what, like he would ask the whoever he's coaching, what do you really want? I know you say you want that. And like there was a lady that is she wanted to start a TV show that was going to cost $65,000 a month. And so she's, man, I'm so stressed out. I don't know how I would be able to come up with $65,000 a month to have my TV show so I can make the difference that I want to make. And he asked us, what do you really want? Why do you want the TV show? Why do you want to make the difference that you're saying you want to make? Because I'm summarizing it up here, but he said, if it's giving you that stress, I can guarantee you it's not it. Like, that's not what you want. It's so interesting that you're talking about what do you want. You're talking about having to have peace as a criteria. It's so in line with what Tony Robbins was talking about this past weekend. And yeah, very, very interesting. But he's launching a software. It's like a project management, time management, goal setting software that's AI driven, that you can get coaching from Tony and all of his knowledge. It even like ChatGPT, but with his own voice, his own AI clone voice, and his own knowledge base. Very fascinating stuff that he's doing with that. But so share with us about the journey that you've gone through. Not only does it give you clarity in your business and give you the peace you're looking for, but how did it even transform your health, going from someone who's been sick for 20 years to being completely healed that way?
I wish I could share like a scientific formula that says if I take X plus 2Y, a little bit of Z to give this amazing outcome. I don't have one. And that's being honest as well. What I do have is somehow, when I was brutally honest with myself and Kate and had the courage to take action that I was scared crapless to take, like even getting a divorce, somehow my body came to peace on the inside. And within that peace, it was like clockwork where my body was the one who rejected the medicine. No, you don't need this anymore. It's okay. And that was over 2 years ago. So it's uncanny. I don't have the right words to share. So my best way of sharing it is right now through my voice because I'm so freaking grateful to have this peace instilled inside of me that I don't have to be on the medication anymore. So it took a lifestyle change. It took me being honest with myself. And the direct draw into capital raise is for anybody that talks to me, just like when in our conversation, Tim, it's at this level. If we do business together, great. If we don't do business together, that's great too, because all I wanted to do was connect with you. And that's my method for raising capital. It's in
Mm,
that deep connection. And and in that state, I get to attract people to my world. I don't have to push. I don't have to hustle. I don't have to fight. I can just be me as I am and share my heart out. And I'll just say heart, and it sounds all fluffy and fruity, and I'm okay if you think that. But that's the freaking truth. That's the freaking truth. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have to be everywhere. I just have to be me and be authentic to myself. And It's the attraction that happens as a result. I attract people who feel safe. And even expanding a little bit about that, about feeling safe. Everybody out there who has the deep pockets that wants to invest with all of us, they are scared. They are so scared. Why? Because they've been burned before, not only by one person, but by two people, by three people. So
Yep.
now they've cast like an axe over the entire industry, saying, I'm not going to invest anywhere. I'm not going to invest in your capital call. Hell no. It doesn't make any sense because they're just so scared. So what is the answer to all of that? It's being authentic. It's sharing your heart, being honest, being straight. And all of us want to do that. All of us want to be that. The truth is that the majority of us can't. I couldn't. I certainly couldn't. So I'll be the first one to volunteer that I could not do that. If you would have asked me a few years ago, I would not be on. I would tell you, yeah, I'm going to tell you the truth, but I had no capability of doing that because I was lying to myself in other areas of my life. And the way that you show up in one, I fully believe, is the way that you show up everywhere.
All right. All right, that's so powerful. Let's transition to talking about this flex space deal that you're working on.
Sure.
So, how are you structuring this deal? Is this a JV deal? Are you planning to syndicate it, raise capital we normally do? Or give us an overview of how you're planning to execute for this deal.
Yeah, the truth is that this is going to be our first big swing at the bat with so there's two projects. The first is roughly 60 to 70,000 square feet. And then the second project actually showed up in March of this year with a completely different team that has about 110,000 square feet. And we've designed it in such a way that we likely won't have to raise capital for them. The first one
Mm,
would be like a $10 million project, and the second is, I think, 17, $18 million project. But there's enough value in the land and in the financial contribution and heart that the loan should cover us. And if there is a gap, I shared with you my strategy for capital raise, and it's 100% being authentic. So both of the projects aligned right now are not capital heavy where we're going to have to raise capital. So the partners themselves can take it. So again, that again aligns to my definition of peace because there's such a huge freaking response. If I take your money, Tim, if I take
hmm
100K from you, there's such a freaking huge responsibility that I have to you.
Yep.
There is. And will I do it at one point in time? Yes, I will. And because it's going to be a part of my growth journey to do that. And have I done it before? Yes. But I'm going to do it in such a way that people see who I am. People see the project for what it is. And when the shit hits the fan, they get to see that too. And they're not going to be blindsided by it.
Very interesting. Okay. And then, so yeah, so is your plan to build these and then hold them for as long as you can, or is it the typical 5-year business plan, or what's the business model?
So our business model is to explore every exit opportunity as it comes, and nothing is left off the table. So it's always up for sale. That's the truth. It's always up for sale at any point in the project. So that means before development, that means after it's entitled and we've got permits in hand, it's up for sale and it'll go up for sale with the broker as we've improved. If somebody wants to take over the construction aspect of it and go for it, it's all you. But assuming that we do get started with the construction ourselves, then our goal is always to sell at the end. Our lease up time being in Houston for 60,000 square feet, our broker estimates about 12 months. I say BS and always add 6 months, at least 50% onto that estimate just to be safe. So roughly 18 months after construction, I would say would be a reasonable point. And we add a good 100 basis points to the cap rate, exit cap rate. as of today, which is like 7.5. So we underwrite it at 8.5%.
I see. Gotcha. Okay. And of course, you for the foreseeable future, do you see continuing in this flex space?
It's fun, and what's happening real time is because we have a big project, and Shariah and I are going to hire a project manager that kind of works for us. Now all of a sudden it's, hey, we can, if we find undervalued land where we can put up 10K, 15K, 20K of flex space, it's like, hey, let's do it because now we're gaining the expertise and we've got the in-house resource to be able to deploy in multiple places and make sure that utilize their salary effectively across multiple things.
I
But
see.
I think
Okay.
the overall strategy comes in with land first, though. It's always land first. And I think that was Shariah's biggest forte that of acquiring land. So it was acquire land first. And if it's undervalued, then you have the option to go in different directions.
Yeah, that's good. And then what is the typical size of these projects, like in terms of dollar amount?
Sure. So the project up in Humble, I think the final valuation is going to come in around 11, 12 million. And we've got the second project in New Braunfels that's larger. It's about 17, 18 million or so. And that's our sweet spot is coming in at about 10 acres of land in a single parcel where we can make it meaningful enough that the numbers at the end of the day make a lot of sense. Um, but as I just said, because we're developing the expertise and the team, our own team to handle it, then we are able to potentially grab smaller tracts of land, 1, 2, 3 acres, and assuming that they're in the right area, knock those out too, because we're developing the expertise and team.
I
And
see.
the,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And then do you foresee doing any syndications in the future or any more, or do you foresee doing more JVs or bigger check writers, maybe even family offices, and so that way there's less sophisticated people involved, which makes it easier to find the piece you're looking for.
Yeah, you know what? I'm open. And I think that's the truth. I'm open to syndication. I'm open to larger check writers. Nobody says no to big checks, let's be honest. Somebody gives you a big check, you're always happy to get it. But I think the mindset around how you work with fill in the blank person remains the same.
Mm, gotcha. That's good. I love it. Love it. Share with us a little bit about your mastermind, Live Your Legacy. What's that about? What are you out to accomplish with that?
Oh yeah. So that's become my passion. There's no doubt about it. That has become my passion. Why? Because it's the story of me. And there's so many me's out there that look like me, don't look like me, talk like me, don't talk like me, that I am just now so freaking passionate to bring them into a community where they can learn to be authentic. They can learn to attract the right people into their world, as opposed to going out there and hustling and grinding and doing it the same way that everybody else does. How do we position ourselves so that we can be a magnet for people? And it's really your presence that allows that to happen. So we're attempting to find the 2020 version of Ajit. Who wants the money? There's no doubt about it. Who wants the money? Who wants the deals? Who wants the business? Who wants all of that? But how can we do all of that and do it in a different way where
Hmm.
it is authentic and it is aligned? And then the magic really happens where it affects all areas of their life, not just the business. So we definitely attract people through the business end, but the major life changes happens completely outside of it. So that is what I'm passionate about, to really bring people in and to make them be honest with themselves and to show them a different way. Because And so if we're talking about capital raisers, how are you going to raise capital out there? Because you think you want to, you're able to say the truth, but you perhaps have the conditioning of your childhood, the way that you grew up, the way that society has molded you. And we attempt to take all of that and undo it, where you can then see truly the person in the mirror, be honest with yourself, and through that, find your authentic voice. And that's what the world wants to hear. You being authentic, you being real. And that becomes the magnet for everything in your life. Capital raising is just one, business is just two, but everything across the board.
Love it. Beautiful. All right, Ajit. For those that want to reach out with you, connect with you, learn from you, invest with you, partner with you, maybe bring you some of these land deals, where would you like to send them?
Yeah, I can send them to, so we've got a what we call is our attraction networking formula, which is really the walking through the steps of being authentic. And so I'll drop the link here. We would love to have you and see if this new style of working, which is not the norm, is attractive for you. So please welcome all.
I love it. Thank you so much. Ajit, thank you so much for being on our show today.